It reminds me of this joke. I love Cedric the Entertainer. And his stand-up, he was he was talking about gas and how high it was out there in LA. We know it's crazy out there, right? We already know California. So he had this joke. He was like, "Yeah, it was Halloween. I dressed up as a gas tank." Right? He said the kids ain't get it, but I was scaring the mess out their parents. He said I had 659 on the joint. Hey, you know I said it. You like, yeah, gas so high for Halloween. I dressed up as a gas can. You like the kids ain't get it, but I was scaring the beep out of their parents. He said they came out trick or treating. Parents are like, oh, oh.
Welcome to the Clearing the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm D.
And I'm Q. Hey, man, we got another ring dinger here, man. Talking about these gas prices in the United States. And
do we have to? Because they talking for themselves. We ain't really got to say Nathan, but
some of the stuff that people are going through in terms of gassing up, well worth a conversation. As a disclaimer, we don't have any answers as to how you can pay half of what gas prices are. We don't have any way for you to scam or, we don't have any of that.
Right.
This is more of a conversation that we all are feeling it in our pockets. Ladies are feeling it in their pocketbooks. Businesses, entrepreneurs really feeling it. And it has, the gas prices, obviously they're a lot higher than what they've ever been. And it has an impact on our daily lives. So we just kind of want to talk about that, how we've been impacted, sharing the conversation of, how others have been. So please join into the conversation. We'll say if it's something let us know. Comment. Guys, we have an email. Let us know what you think and how you're making out with this thing. But let's dive right in. So D, tell us, why are we talking about this again?
Well, we decided to talk about it, man, because one, it's a huge talking point right now. Two, I'm sure every day on one's daily commute, they see that sign, or whatever it's called, the gas sign, gas board, whatever, is steadily going up and up and up. And we had a little relief. We had a lot of relief at the beginning of the pandemic, and then that was short-lived. And then, they went back up, and then it came down a little, and now they back up again. So we was like, man, we got to talk about it, simply because I know it affects a lot of people. And no matter what your economic status is, you're going to feel it. I know one thing you were saying, how it's affecting, businesses. It's affecting, like shipping, affecting, like delivery, stuff like that. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff is going up as far as like groceries and stuff like that. A lot of that has to do with because, the deliveries and the trucking industry and stuff like that. A lot of that is being affected with the increased price of gas, also with the shortage of employees. But that's another topic. But gas, the increased gas prices is having an effect on a lot of things that we use and we do daily. So it's not just the gas that we put in our car or cars. It's affecting stuff that we do.
So I went shopping today.
Okay, speak on it.
And what you just said, it does, but I forgot for a quick minute that yes, it has an impact on every part of our lives. So the first thing I was going to say is I went shopping and I don't know if you guys have Aldi where you are, listeners. I don't know if you're familiar with Aldi, but Aldi is your Trader Joe's Aldi. You should be able to get eggs in the pandemic at 109. Their first 99, like 99 cent, in 109. And I'm like, okay, cool, no problem.
Right. 10 cent ain't tripping. Because Aldi is kind of a discount place, right? Okay.
But still give you fresh produce and stuff.
Right.
$2.94.
No way, bruh. For the same eggs, same count, same size?
Same. $2.94. And another conversation. So I met a guy in a grocery store, drives trucks. Buddy of mine, he left the financial banking industry and he now has his own truck. And then there was a guy that I spoke to today, my daughter's friend, who he drives trucks. Now the difference between the third situation is that, he works for a major company. And I mention this just to say, because they never got a break. Those who drive trucks never got a break.
Right.
If you're in business for yourself, you feel it. You use diesel, and depending on how far you go up and down, you're feeling it. This other guy, he works for, big time company, so he's not paying for the gas. And the way that it can be offset is when you work for the bigger companies, you push that onto the customers. They don't realize it necessarily, but you push it onto the customer. So I thank you for bringing that up, because that is huge. And you really see it real time when you begin to talk about it, like, oh, shoot, yeah, that impacts this. And this went up. Well, why did it go up? It went up because of this. So good one there, sir.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say, we're not taking no political stance either and blaming so-and-so for this and that, blah, 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 blah. It is what it is right now. So we just going to talk about it.
Right. I like how you said that too. Because we're not coming with agendas and all this stuff. Right. We have conversations that show, because I think we do this all the time. We take real issues, politicize them, and then we demonize people depending on what side they're on. And this is not what our podcast is about. Our podcast is for everybody, and particularly the men.
Right.
So we can just,
Right. I think we can agree that something major did happen that probably caused, the increase of the prices. So we will acknowledge that, you know what I mean? The whole Russia and Ukraine thing, stuff like that. So, but yeah, other than that, it is what it is. We got to deal with it.
So how does this impact you personally on a day-to-day basis?
It's kind of a catch-22 for me, man. I'm the type of guy, like, normally when my tank gets to half, I just fill it up. Sometimes I let it get all the way down, because I heard that you need to do that sometimes. My daily commute is about 15 minutes. So about maybe 7 to 8 miles each way. So it's not it's not hitting me too bad, but that's not if I'm doing anything extra. So, and I do a lot of extra stuff. So if I'm going to the gym or going shopping, I love to shop. So, obviously I go see my parents a lot too. They 45 miles from me. He's a little about 50 minutes door to door. So I feel it then. It's like I said, I don't know if I said it yet, but it's a catch-22 for me because I have an SUV, which obviously has a bigger tank, but it uses regular. So, I'm not getting hit as hard, but it takes more of it.
Right.
And then I also have a luxury car, which uses premium, but burns slower, and I don't have to fill it up as much, but it's definitely more at the pump. So it's like, which which one you want to deal with. You want the SUV is probably going to burn faster, and has a bigger tank, but probably a little less at the pump,
Mhm.
or you want to drive the whip that's going to burn slower, but it's going to knock you over the head at the pump. So those are kind of decisions I have to deal decisions I have to deal with. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, bro, it is what it is. I want to shout out my homegirl. She had she said something. Oh, I saw something. It said, I don't even care about gas. Oh, I don't even notice gas prices because what I'm gonna do, walk. So it's just like, at the end of the day, I mean, you gotta get around. So I mean, you could definitely maneuver differently. I definitely go places with a purpose now. But it ain't affecting me too much where I'm like, oh man, gas is high. I ain't trying to go all the way over there. And, you know, life got to go on, brother.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna talk about ways to save, and I said
right,
we don't have the answer, but I guess you can say there are best practices.
right, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
there are best practices. So,
Hmm.
well, you noticed my face.
Yeah, when I said the commute, I know because
Yes.
I don't know how you do it, but go ahead, and let them know.
Well, from the Baltimore area to DC is about 60 miles where I have to go. Okay. So add another 15 to you going to your mom and dad's house. I'm not talking about traffic, I'm not talking about any of that. I'm going to go here and pull back a bit because we're going to talk about some options available to us all, or potential options. But long story short, I typically fill up, I want to say 1.5 times in the week, but how do you fill up 1.5 times?
Hmm.
Basically in a work week, if I fill up on Sunday or Monday, I could get to Friday just about.
Hmm.
I either can make it home and I need to fill up ASAP,
Hmm.
or on my way home I need to stop.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, man. It's tough and it's tight because
Yeah.
and I think that might be good in some circumstances. That might even be the type of vehicle that I have.
Oh yeah, because we got to get into that. We got
Yeah.
to get into that. But hold on, you ain't finishing your whole commute because you said it's what however miles, but you ain't talking about traffic. You ain't talking about.
Listen,
Yeah, come
I'm,
on, bro.
I'm
You ain't talking
trying to,
about how long is that commute and how long you sitting in that traffic. What
yeah,
time you got to leave the house and what time
yeah.
you getting home.
Oh man, you trying to make me think about tomorrow.
Yeah,
You trying to make me think about tomorrow.
oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
My household has several vehicles. I have 5 children, 2 that drive. However, I do not pay for gas for children who drive.
Mhm.
No, I don't. Okay. But for, as you said, my wife has an SUV. The good thing for her is that her job is about maybe 20 minutes.
Okay.
If it's, just depending, maybe anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes, but typically about 20 minutes. Given what she does in a newer employment situation, she is like, once she gets to work, that's not it. She's kind of a portfolio manager at this point. And so she's going to different properties. And
Right.
so she may fill up 1.5 times when before she could go an entire week and be good.
Mhm.
Me, like I said, I can get through a week barely, barely. That's a Honda Sonata 2020. I'm up at 5 a.m., leave the house at 6 to get to work at 7. I may need to leave a little earlier than that, just depending on traffic. 295. It's so many
Mm,
different ways I can
mm,
take, right.
mm.
And there's so many different ways. What you end up learning is different ways to maneuver to get to or come from.
Right.
So without boring you guys with the details, that's kind of my situation. And for me, I will say this. Some people say, well, why don't you work closer? For what I do, I will not get paid the same way in Baltimore that I would in DC. Now, strange enough, saying all of this with the gas prices, I actually enjoy commuting to work. That sounds crazy, especially at this point in time. And it can be very tiring, but I do it. It's for the family.
Man, that's oof, if anybody knows that DC traffic and Baltimore traffic, the whole DMV traffic, especially during rush hour, y'all know it's nothing to play with. So salute to you, my brother.
Salute to that car.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to go here because we kind of were on the edge of going there, but didn't quite. So first things first, I want to say this. You've said you've got multiple vehicles. I've said the same thing. That's not being said to gloat. It's not being said to.
Not at all.
That is a luxury in and of itself. Even if the vehicles themselves were not luxury, that is a luxury to have. And so you have options. Given that I have children who use vehicles, I don't necessarily have options, but there are two situations in my household, very similar to you, but the difference is it's one of you versus two of us. You presented two options. What do you typically do for your short-term trips or daily trips versus when you do come up to the DC area or a trip that's maybe 2 to 3 hours? Like, what do you do? What do you choose to drive?
It just kind of depends on what I'm doing. I normally drive my SUV every day. That's my daily vehicle. I had a couple other vehicles that I drove daily, and I ended up I donated them. I donated like 2 or 3 cars to the Breast Cancer Society. So yeah, that's near and dear to me. So shout out to Mom. So right now I'm driving my SUV every day. I mean, with that, stop and go on the highway, it's straight. You know what I'm saying? But stop and go in the city, it's just gonna do what it does. I do things like, try to keep my tires, pressure level.
Don't go into some of that stuff yet.
Okay.
But let's talking from kind of car buying options. You don't really buy cars because you have situations.
Right. It hasn't. Both my cars right now, are used gas. One uses regular, one uses premium. I had not thought about getting a hybrid or an all electric car. I may be looking to get another whip in the future. I don't know if that's going to factor into it. I know there's some vehicles now that you can kind of do. Is it half and half, or like it's half gas, half? I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but
it's not really half. It's a combo, though.
Combination, right?
In the electric, well, I will.
Yeah, because you can speak to that. So, when that time comes, it may be an option. The specific vehicle I'm looking at, I'm not sure if it comes in a hybrid option. And then I was kind of hearing horror stories about these all electric cars, because if you can't find the station to charge them, and I know they're more accessible now, but I think before they weren't as accessible, and so I was hearing a lot of horror stories about that. So and again, I just never, gas wasn't really like that to make me had that be like an important factor, like, oh, my next car has to be a hybrid or has to be electric. So
right. When you mention the car buying options, like you say, you've got the hybrid, you've got the all electrical situations, and you've got the all gas as well.
Right.
Again, it depends on your driving style.
Right.
For you, I don't think, unless you were just thinking for the future, it doesn't really make sense for you with that commute currently,
Right.
That's the other thing too, if you're thinking about future, like, my commute may change, and it may be the same commute as I was going to see my parents.
Right.
Then that as an option, you might say, you know what, I need to look at something that's a little bit more cost effective.
Right.
I'm gonna share this in 30 seconds or less.
Go ahead, bro.
We talked about car buying options. I had to make an upgrade. I have a 2022 Sonata hybrid. literally filling it up. We're talking about 650 something gallons until I have to refuel.
That's crazy.
That is cool, but let me tell you what is even cooler. Again, not pushing on that gas tank so hard. So miles per gallon. Depending on how you drive, you can stretch that thing out some. Okay. So I was able to, if my commute is 58, 60 miles, and I'm at 49, I know that if I don't push on the gas for so hard, and depending on your vehicle, you could actually look at how many gallons, depending on you drive, that you're getting. I stay within that high 58 to 62 range, which is saying I'm stretching it out. I did that the other day, and I was at a deficit at first. I ended up getting home and still having 10 gallons to use. Because that's another thing to discuss. Do we think once things clear that gas will significantly go down? I can tell you, I don't remember what gas was like before the pandemic. I really don't.
That's crazy, bro. Because when I mentioned it to you earlier, you was like, you didn't mention it. Yeah, I remember the beginning of the pandemic. They was trying to give gas away. Now I'm talking about the beginning of the pandemic when it was heavy. People were staying in the house. We had never experienced nothing like this before. When flights was like $25, flights to Vegas, flights to West Coast was like $50, and I remember gas was like 99 cents, bro. Yeah, I remember that. I vividly remember that. And so when I mentioned it to you, I think yesterday, you was like, "Nah, I don't remember that." I remember that, bro. I remember it was no traffic on the streets.
And well, see, that's another thing too. For me, I don't remember from a time standpoint. It didn't impact me as much. It's in regards to work, because the distance is the distance.
Right.
And so if we're talking about 10 to 15 minutes, did I see less cars? I did, but it didn't, from a distance or a time standpoint, it didn't necessarily alter much for me.
Oh, so man, I remember, bro, driving and it was nobody on the highway. Like it looked like a ghost town. I remember driving by the malls. It was like the stores that you would never see closed during the day. It was just, I remember gas being like 99 cents.
That may be a little bit more, but in terms of my actual commute and the cars that were on the road, for me, your commute is different because you see like more local stuff to see.
Right.
I'm talking about highway to highway, and so I'm not seeing some of that local stuff. So for me, again, I still was seeing cars. Like for someone like you that would say it, you were actually seeing a lot less cars. For me, given the type of commute that I had, I was still seeing vehicles on the road at 6 a.m.
Right.
So it wasn't as if like it was a total shutdown, lockdown. There was some differences, but it was still an hour, for me. So yeah.
Right. One thing you said, I do think I'm going to look to buy a regular, like everyday car, just to because just not even because I'm driving my SUV every day, but I just want something a little more practical for like everyday use. So like something like a Camry or something like that. Yeah.
I still don't. I'm still holding on to this ace in my pocket until we start talking about ways to save. So let's just talk this. Travel plans. Have your travel plans changed at all due to the increase in gas prices?
No, but I hadn't, because Earth is opening back up, you know what I'm saying? Cats is going to be traveling more. So no, it hadn't, but about to be traveling more. So we'll see. But like I said, you got to get gas, bro. I'm not going to let gas be the reason why I'm not going somewhere. You know what I mean? So a funny story to tell, I was in DC that ended up going to New York. And we went to New York, drove to New York in a Hummer. I'm like, oh my God, bruh. Bruh, Joe to New York in a Hummer, right? And so I'm like, well, we get the gas in Jersey. Jersey normally got cheap gas, you know, from there. So Jersey normally has cheap gas. Bro, we get on the turnpike. Gas prices is astounding. And you know me, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll pay for the gas, you know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. Bruh, 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 duh. The pump, I think the pump's still going. And we, bruh, the joke. I'm like, damn, the joke ain't stopped yet. Me and my big mouth. Bruh. Bruh, the joke. And it wasn't even like all the way on E. It was still like a quarter tank. Filled it up. I was like, oh my God, bro, get me out of here. Hey, look, and I flew back. I was like, I ain't even riding back. I'm flying back. I flew back home from New York. True story. But again, like we wasn't not gonna go to New York just because of the gas. Like it just is what it is.
So strange enough for me, it's a yes and a no. Does it change for me? No. It's because my plans for travel have changed, but not due to gas.
Right.
We did a lot more than what we thought we would really kind of do last year. And so as a way to kind of chill financially this year, we said, you know what, we're going to just chill. One thing that I did say before seeing these gas prices was, wifey, let's do a trip a quarter, somewhere between 2 and 3 hours from where we live at, so that, you know, we could still do something, but we can manage the budget a little bit better. I still feel that way. But again, when you look at the gas prices, it does make you say, But then you also look at, from a travel standpoint, is it going to be cheaper to fly to the places that we could drive to? And it's not. So, you know, control your own time, control where you go, when you go by driving. And like you say, some things is just the cost of doing business, so to speak.
Right.
No, because we planned on really chilling anyway this year. Yes, because it may make us think, maybe we'll postpone this.
Right.
For the time being.
Because them gas prices definitely affect them flights.
Yeah.
So, but you can still find some, bro. You can still find some. Like I said, when I went to New York, I ended up flying back, and you know, it was reasonably priced considering it was on a holiday. It was Memorial Day Monday. So yeah.
Well, bro, I'm thinking about talking about, maybe you call it solutions or some ways that we can cope or just kind of deal with, you know, reality. Because at the end of the day, we got to still go to the pump.
Right. Right.
You know, at the end of the day, you got to get to work.
Right.
You got to get where you got to go.
Right.
You know, there was a point in time where there was all of these social media posts with people posting themselves at the pump, you know, showing the price and the gallons. And it's like, yeah, but you keep putting the gas in there, which means you're going to.
Right.
But I want to talk about some ways to save. I think I mentioned to you yesterday, because I got gas yesterday.
Right.
I actually filled up my wife's SUV and my vehicle. And so one of the ways, you know, because I had been seeing gas in DC being like 508. And over the weekend at home, it was like 479. And so, you know, my wife, she said to me, she said, did you see gas lately? I said, no. I said, it should be like 479. She was like, no, it's $5. I said, what? Bro, that night I went to go get the gas. I think it was last night. $4.99. Still better than the 508.
Right.
$4.99. But let me tell you what was better than the $4.99. This is one of the ways to save. One of the ways to save is to become a part of a loyalty program. So, not sure if you guys out there have heard of Wawa's, but so many people have it where if you download the app, you put your card on file, there are savings that comes with it. I've seen it in two ways. So Wawa, I think for the next few days, they're doing 15 cents off if you pay through the app. Okay, so that $4.99 easily turns into $4.84 for me. Another way that I have saved at the pump was, I think through BP. BP has a program basically where, you put in your phone number,
Mm-hmm.
after a certain amount of gallons, you can, like you'll gain cents off.
Right.
Okay, so that's another way.
I,
Last
be-
way.
I believe like Shell, I believe Shell and Exxon got similar stuff like that too.
Yeah. The bigger ones have it.
Mhm.
And the last thing is, since you gotta pay for it anyway, do it on a credit card that gives like either cash back, that gives you points, or like doubles or triples the points or the cash back when you use gas or when you go buy groceries. And we're talking about gas, but it does some of those things too. So that's one umbrella of ways to save.
Mm-hmm. I got a few. I know some places that will discount gas if you pay with cash.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them that if you get a car wash, it's a discount. And so if you're not planning on getting a car wash, then it don't make sense. But if you are, let's say it's the weekend and you was gonna get the car wash, well, go somewhere where you can get the car wash and get discount off of gas filler for the weekend. You can places that have like memberships usually have cheaper gas. So that's your Costco, Sam's Club, I believe Kroger, places like that. And their gas is normally cheaper than most. The place I go to, gas right now here done went up to like $49 and $4.95, and I just got gas 2 days ago for $4.48 at the place I go to. So, and I mean the line was all the way down Broad Street. So I got to go there on off hours. They close, I believe, at 9. So I'll try to get there between 8 and 9 and get up out of there, or maybe before noon. But if you go noon or 5 o'clock or any of that time or super early in the morning, that's a dub. That's a dub. Anytime on the weekend too. Right. And I was gonna say, there are certain things you can do to help the gas last longer in your car, which is what I was kind of going to get to before, but it was perfect that we talk about it now. So one, you can kind of keep your tire pressures level. A lot of people don't think about this or don't do this. Take a lot of unnecessary stuff out your car. You have all this unnecessary stuff in your car, it adds unnecessary weight. And extra weight in your car is going to decrease your gas mileage.
Wow.
So take out, clean your car up, get all that heavy stuff out of there, put it in your house, put it in your garage, your storage somewhere, but take it out your car. I like riding on the highway because I just think it's faster. I don't want to stop and go at the lights and anything, if I don't have to. So I'm always going to choose to take the highway over the scenic route. But I know some people don't really like the highway or prefer to do the scenic route. That's fine. But just remember, highway is going to give you better gas mileage because it's less stop and go. So
I have 2 more things before we clear the air, which is, again, we got to go to the pump.
Right.
And this is a thing that, whether you're traveling or not, budget gas. Put it in your budget, because what that'll help you do is if you're tight on finances and you're trying to make sure you get to work, which is, of course, most important, that in any place of worship, even online now, you can, do your worshiping, but budget, put it in the budget. That's one thing. The other thing too, from a travel standpoint, plan ahead. Plan ahead is
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same as budgeting to a degree, because if you can
Mm-hmm.
plan ahead, that impacts the budget. If you're trying to go somewhere, again, and you're talking about those flight, the cost of flights going up, again, they're paying for fuel as well. So you're paying for that for them to
Mm-hmm.
offset it. And so, if you can plan ahead anywhere between, I say, 6 months to a year, gets a little fudgy, at 12 at a year, because you're now looking at the earliest you can book. And sometimes they may not have a year out, exactly a year from now out,
Right.
but you can still, you just gotta gotta be a hawk. And again, just plan ahead. Plan your trips if you're driving places, because again, I still plan on driving some places, and I just add that into my budget of the commute to get to 2 to 3 places. Like, for example, I'm in the Baltimore area. I would love to go to Pittsburgh, Philly, certain parts of Virginia, Richmond.
Right.
Again, stuff that's 2 to 3 hours, maybe Ocean City or something like that. I don't know. New York's 4 hours if you want to stretch it. Jersey, 2.5 to 3 hours. This all depends. And you just plan for it. Plan
Right.
for that. You plan for your easy pass stuff. You just plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Another way you can plan, if you can check gas prices. If you traveling, you can check gas prices in other states. What's their average, this and that. I know South Carolina gas is usually cheaper. Uh, Jersey is usually cheaper. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going north or south, you can kind of, plan your trip to be like, okay, we're going to get gas in South Carolina, or we're going to get gas in Jersey. Let's say you are going to New York, or you going down to Florida for that family vacation. Also, if you are, loyal to a certain brand, whether it's Shell or BP or whatever, you could check and see, okay, well, there's this station in this state right here, or in this exit. So we know we can make it here, blah, blah, blah. And we can fill up there, and this the price is going to be. So I think, like you said, man, planning is very important. And a lot of people might be like, well, it's just gas. And that's true. And that's true. I mean, you got to go to the pump, so it really don't matter. But if it's affecting you like that, there are ways that you can, stretch it.
The last thing, for work, carpool. That's
Hmm.
something that a lot of people may not utilize, but if you've been on the job for a little bit of time and you real cool with people at work, even if you have to drive part of the way to get to where they are, try to carpool if you can.
Public transportation, bro. Metro,
Yep.
subway,
Yep. Mark train,
bus, Mark train. Yeah. Yeah.
those commuter rails, because people might not know what the Mark train is, but
Right.
it's essentially a
Right.
commuter rail.
Yeah. A rail, light rail. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, listen, y'all, we're gonna clear the air, and clearing the air, we just want to encourage everybody, because these are tough times right now. We're seeing some unprecedented things that some of us have never seen in our entire lives, in our generation, and just be encouraged.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, bro. It don't seem like it's going. It seems like it's going to be that way for a while. So, and like you said, we got to do it. We got to get around. So, stay encouraged, be smart. It's so crazy, man. When I was younger, I remember growing up, and I didn't understand the concept. I only knew the concept of, okay, I'm putting 10 in the tank, or 20 in the tank. I didn't know the concept of the different prices on the signs.
Right.
So I remember back in the day, it would be like 99 or 109. And my parents used to drive around, or they used to go to a certain state. I'm like, why are we passing all these stations? It's the same, you know what I mean? Because I'm thinking $10 is $10, or $20 is $20.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I just always think about those prices, man. They was like 99 cents, 109. Them days is over. Although we had a little flashback, a little taste of it at the beginning of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of this joke that I love, Cedric the Entertainer. And his stand-up, he was talking about gas and how high it was out there in LA. We know it's crazy out there, right? We already know California. So he had this joke. He was like, yeah, it was Halloween. I dressed up as a gas can. I mean, a gas tank, right? He said the kids ain't get it, but I was scaring the mess out their parents. He said I had 659 on the joint. Hey, you know I said it. You like, yeah, gas so high for Halloween, I just about the gas can. You like the kids ain't get it, but I was scaring the beep out of their parents. He said they came out trick or treating. Parents are like, oh. Oh man.
I specifically, again, want to encourage men as the head of our households to budget, plan ahead. We
For
are
sure.
responsible for the home. And so if obviously getting to work is priority so that we can take care of our families. Again, even the same for those who, do Uber and do Amazon Flex and things like that, where you're in control of your schedule. Again, plan your time, plan your day, your hours, just plan as best as you can and budget so that you can be ahead of the game. Believe it or not, it makes a big difference. Makes a big difference.
Right.
Also want to encourage entrepreneurs who have not had a rest, those who drive trucks and those who just are tired. Buddy of mine said, he said, man, I'm feeling, he said, sometimes a trip to and from is $3,000 with diesel. And he said, I made a thing to where I don't go above 1,500. See, when you look at it, you complain about the less than $100 for you to fill up the tank. Someone else that impacts so many different areas in your life that you don't even pay attention to is paying $1,500 in a trip, $3,000, just depending on how the grind is. So, and lastly, I want to say this. I don't condone road rage, but I can understand how people are a certain kind of way and the people in a rush to get where they got to get, and you don't know what's on people's minds. So again, I just want to encourage people, don't get into it with people on the road. Please don't. And drive.
It's not worth it, bro. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Drive safely. So again, please be encouraged. Make adjustments. Make adjustments to the way that you drive. Focus on what you can control and not necessarily on what is happening in the economy. Pay attention to it, but look at how you can adjust. Right. Last, as we always do, we want to thank you for your continued support. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple.
Yes, sir.
Facebook, got a Facebook page, Twitter.
For sure.
Last but not least, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. There you will see full episodes and even some clips of episodes that we have done in the past. So we have cleared the air. Peace.
Peace.